On today's guide, sounding out words, a really useful tool in helping you figure out new words. We find out that people have different learning styles. What's yours? And ever wanted to go to a live Gaelic football match but never knew how? Our guide answers all of your questions.
These days we're constantly bombarded with messages and images. Words and numbers are everywhere. And a surprising number of us have some trouble with everyday reading and writing. It might be when we're driving somewhere new for the first time and we need to read signposts and maps. When we want money, we need to know how to use the ATM. We might have trouble trying to figure out bus and train timetables. Or maybe we're challenged when we're trying to help our children with their homework. In fact, 25% of Irish adults, that's 1 in 4, have some trouble with reading, writing, spelling or with numbers. Well, this series, the really useful guide to words and numbers, is designed to help you improve these everyday reading and writing skills. Over the course of the series, we'll be looking at practical tasks, such as topping up your mobile phone, filling out forms, and even how to use computers and the internet. First though, learning to read is a skill that comes to us gradually. One of the first steps along the way is to read out loud, a bit like actors do when they're rehearsing.
When an actor or singer is getting ready to perform, they often practice the sounds we make when we speak. Every letter in the alphabet has a different name.
A, B, C.
Every letter also has a different sound, and you could think of a letter as a picture of a sound. The letter A is a picture of this sound.
A. A.
This is the sound which the letter A has at the beginning of the word apple.
A. A.
Apple. The sound of the letter P,
P. P.
is at the end of the word tap. The sound of the letter V,
V. V.
is at the beginning of the word vegetables and in the middle of the word river. There are over 40 different sounds in English, but there are only 26 letters. So how does that happen? You could think of it this way. Sometimes when we put two colours together, we get a new one. It's the same with some combinations of letters. The letter S has this sound,
S.
and the letter H has this sound.
H.
Put them together and you get a new sound, so that SH has this sound.
Sh. Sh.
This is the sound we get at the beginning of these words.
Ship. Sheep.
And at the end of these words.
Bush. Cash.
Another example is when we put together the sound of the letter O as it sounds at the beginning of a word like on,
Ah.
and the sound of the letter U as it sounds in the word under. Put them together and you get a new sound.
Ow.
This is the sound we get in these words.
Playground. Roundabout.
Every sound can be written down as a letter or a combination of letters. You can use these sounds to help you figure out how words are spelled.
Sheep.
If you'd like to find out more about sounding out words, there's also a free workbook that accompanies the series to help you along the way. To get your free pack, you can free phone the number on your screen, 1800 20 20 65. That's 1800 20 20 65. Or you can visit our website. And don't worry, these contact details will be shown again at the end of the programme. We all know people who are particularly good at or interested in certain things. For example, some people always seem to have their heads in a book. Others can assemble a set of shelving without even reading any instructions. And others are great at remembering the lyrics of songs. Different people have different ways of learning and remembering, and we call these learning styles. There are many different ways in which we learn. We learn by seeing, that's called a visual style. We can learn by hearing, that's called an auditory style. For example, the rhyme 30 days hath September, April, June and November. That's an auditory trick to help us remember how many days there are in the month. And we learn by doing. People who are body smart, like athletes and dancers, can prefer a more hands-on style of learning. That's called kinesthetic learning. But which type are you?
Some people are good at sports, while others have a good eye and take great photos. Our personalities and strengths offer us clues as to how we learn. We met up with students Maureen, Jim and Irene and their tutor Alice Flood at Clear in Kilbarrack in North County Dublin to find out their learning styles.
I'll say the word first and then I'll break it down in a funny way. That might help. Conversation. Conversation.
The shun is good because we worked on that.
Yeah. And you want to be brave and spell it? We all have particular learning styles and strengths. And when people talk about learning styles, what we refer to are visual. The visual is learning by looking and seeing and observing. Auditory. Auditory is learning by hearing and kinesthetic. Motor kinesthetic is actually movement. We learn by doing. And it's a very much preferred learning style of a lot of our students.
Well, I know I'm visual. I didn't know when I started the class, but I certainly know now.
Tricks work for me. Restaurant,
Yes.
R-E-S-T, rest, and the difficult part for me to remember are A-U-R, and the trick of Are You Right works for me, and the little ant at the end, and that for me is, it just jumps out at me now.
Listening would be one of my strong points. I enjoy listening to things, and I suppose I would prefer to be shown how to do things. That would be part of how I learned my skills when I was working. I still carry that if I'm shown how to do things, I can pick it up quicker.
We encourage students, yes, to try and identify their own learning style, their strengths. Now, it would take place over quite an amount of time, and we would look at all the different strategies. I'm speaking particularly in relation to spelling, say, and we look at all the different strategies, and people do then discover where their own strengths are.
One thing you mentioned there in this year that I only took on board was write slow.
Yes, have the feel.
Have the
feel
put
for
from
it.
the into your hand,
That's
write
right.
slow, and it's a very simple thing, but it definitely works.
One of the huge difficulties I had in spelling was the I and E and I. And I still struggle a bit with that. And it took me a while to get a handle on that. And I suppose another thing I did was that if I had to write something down, I scribbled it a lot and then try and sort it out after.
Yeah.
And that thing that you talked about writing slowly has helped me as well.
Yeah, but you find sometimes it's grand. Alice pronounces the words properly, so you can hear the syllables and the sound. But when we speak, we don't say our words the way Alice would. So therefore, we would have a problem spelling them.
Even saying it in a peculiar way will work for you. Just because you're not good academically doesn't mean that you're not really good in your own strengths. For example, somebody who's very good at sport is on a par with people who are academic. And I think it really is very liberating to hear that for the first time.
Because people would know I play a bit of golf, and I can't play golf if I don't stay focused on it, you know, and I bring the same thing here, you know.
Yeah.
I think because I focus more here, that I'm able to focus better on the golf course now. It has enhanced my enjoyment of the game. I make less silly mistakes now because I stay focused. My first introduction to Clear was to learn how to use a computer. I was given a computer and I didn't even know how to switch it on, you know, and I came here and I learned how to use it. I'm not saying brilliantly, but I can manage it now. And then at Christmas I was given a digital camera and a printer, and I felt I had to learn to use it. And by using the same kind of skills, that it has helped me, you know, and I'm now enjoying the camera and the printing, and it has enhanced my life now. And that kind of technology I felt was way beyond me. And because I'm coming here now, I'm not saying I'm brilliant at it, but I can manage it, you know.
If people were interested in finding out their learning styles, a really good idea would be to pick up the phone and contact their local VEC scheme. Most people never look back. It is really, really a very satisfying experience. So I would just suggest make that call.
Well, who'd have thought that improving your reading and writing could improve your golf? Everyone is talking about golf these days, Jim, with the Ryder Cup in town. Do you think that watching golf on television can actually improve your swing?
Well, it will certainly improve your golf, you know, while the top pros play differently and their swing is different. But you can learn from them, and their powers of concentration and focus are huge, you know, and that if you want to play really well, that's what you have to do. And but you also can learn by watching them and see how they swing and how they hold the club. And you know,
I suppose it's a technique, but nothing beats getting out there and doing it.
And doing it, yeah.
Well, we're also joined by RTE Television's Ryder Cup commentator, Shane O'Donoghue. Shane, why is Ryder in town?
The Ryder Cup is in town at last. It should have been here many years ago, given that Ireland has played a huge part in its evolvement and success in recent years.
With the calibre of our players?
Well, absolutely, and it started in the 20s. It was a Great Britain and Ireland team who took on the Americans back in the late 20s, and then they decided to play it biennially every 2 years. And Ireland has never managed to host the competition, even though it has, when it's played on this side of the Atlantic, been played mainly in Britain and once in Spain back in 1997. There are so many people playing golf. All other sports people have golf as their pastime as well. They're all very passionate about it. And in Ireland, there are in the region of 450,000 golfers.
Right, well, here's something you mightn't have discovered. I did a little research of my own, and I found out that Tiger Woods was 11 months old when he started playing golf. It was, believe it or not, a sawn-off golf club in his garage. And it just goes to show, I guess, that if you start early, you get an advantage. Now, in terms of reading and writing, do you think that's the case, going back to learning to read and write if you start early?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I would definitely agree that, you know, I think anything you do, you know, and I think the earlier you start to learn it, the easier it is, because you've got set ideas. And I think particularly any sport you decide to play, you know, you're talking about learning muscle memories and all that sort of thing, and it's much, much easier for a younger person.